In an absolutely gut-wrenching moment, quarterback Joe Burrow was carted off the field after suffering a pretty severe-looking left knee injury. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and this is your #1 source for learning about the unique medical side of the world of sports. In this video, we're going to break down the injury to quarterback Joe Burrow in what certainly looks on first glance to be a very severe injury for the rookie quarterback. As always, if you enjoy learning about this unique side of sports, please consider subscribing to the channel and be sure and follow me over on Twitter for more real-time breakdowns and analysis. And let's get started. Now, at the time of recording this, the only official word is that he's been ruled out with a left knee injury. So this is the play where Burrow was hurt. We can see he's just let go of the ball and his left leg is in full extension, meaning his knee is straight and that leg is locked straight. He then basically gets pinched between two defenders here. One defender that's kind of falling into the front of his knee from a little bit at the outside, it looks like. And then a second defender on his back that's causing him to even push forward even more. So he falls into this position where his trunk is flexed forward, his left leg is extended, and what proceeds to happen next is it looks like that left leg gets pushed back even into more severe hyperextension. We can see even just at this moment that trunk flexed forward to 90 degrees, and we're already starting to see what looks like a little bit of hyperextension in that left leg. You can't really catch the ankle down here as much, but it looks like the ankle might have gotten rolled up under him a little bit, and then it just gets even worse. I mean, here in this clip now, just look at how severe that left leg is hyperextended with likely a little bit of a valgus load because of the defender coming in from the side. Just to get a sense of where his knee even is, kind of where the orange sock start is actually right about his knee. And so in this position, I mean, his knee is so far down close to the ground, showing how much load's being implied on it. So the concern here for me is certainly a multi-ligament, pretty serious left knee injury that looks to have been caused from a forced hyperextension with likely a bit of a valgus load, meaning a load that's being directed from the outside of the knee inward. If we look at this knee model, basically that means the defender and the force came in from the outside and kind of pushed backwards and in, which forces that knee to bend and then hyperextend. A couple of the things we're always worried about with a knee hyperextension are certainly going to be the ACL and the PCL. Some studies that have applied just a pure hyperextension force onto the knee have found that around 30 degrees is when we start to see that ACL and PCL become vulnerable. Looking back at this clip of Burrow, it certainly looks like he's approaching that position. This reminds me a lot of what happened with Ravens tight end Nick Boyle just the other week. Those ACL and PCL ligaments are running north to south within inside the knee, and so whenever you hyperextend, you put excessive stress on those ligaments. Now, because there was also what looked like to be a force that kind of came from the outside and pushed in, that's when you start to worry about this MCL being stretched as well. Of course, you've also got to worry about the meniscus and any type of a serious injury like this. You've got to worry about capsule tearing. And you've got so many other structures back here. There's the posterolateral corner group of structures that can be injured with these hyperextension type injuries. So a lot that can be going on here beyond just the typical ligament injuries. Now, if I'm the medical team and I get out there and this is what I'm evaluating, there's a couple things I'm going to start with first. Initially, we can see that Burrow's grabbing at the back of his leg, and really based on the location he's grabbing, it's hard to say one way or another if this tells us a specific injury. To me, this tells me that he feels like his knee is unstable, that he feels like he has to support and hold on to his knee for some reason or another. The first thing I'm going to be doing when I get out there, aside from making sure the athlete is breathing and is stable, is looking to make sure there's not a joint dislocation or what we would call a compound fracture. I'm asking the athlete, what hurts? What are you feeling? What do you remember happening? And this is where they're going to clue you in to where the pain is, say something like, I felt a pop, and give you an initial sense of where to start that evaluation. This teamwork is great. You've got one of the medical staff that's up at his head, kind of guiding him through, asking him questions, and you've got somebody else that's coming down here, getting ready to stabilize that joint if needed. So this is great work. Now they've got him a little bit more comfortably positioned to better evaluate this left knee. Again, they're providing some stability. They're going to start doing their assessment to look, first of all, is there concern for a joint dislocation? Are there fractures we need to be worried about? Are there more severe, really high energy type injuries we need to stabilize? The next thing we see the medical staff doing here is it looks like they're basically palpating, meaning pushing on the kind of front structures of the knee. Of course, on the front of the knee, you've got your kneecap or the patella, and then you've got your patellar tendon. And if we look back here, this maybe roughly looks to be what the medical providers are looking at here initially. You can tell they've kind of got their hands kind of almost like they're getting ready to pinch to move that ligament around or check on the kneecap. This isn't really palpating specifically along any of the ligaments on the inside or the outside. So I'd wonder kind of what they were doing here initially that caused that to be the first thing they looked at. Next here, it looks like they're getting ready to look at some of the ligaments. Now, the specific maneuver they're gonna do is something called the Lachman test, where you basically are trying to stabilize the femur and distract or pull the tibia anterior or up forward. That's what the ACL is trying to restrict. And so if the ACL is torn, your Lachman test is gonna show no clear, firm endpoint, no catch whenever you feel that ligament engage. It's hard to tell here. Maybe there's like a little bit of a loss of an endpoint there, but without being there and really feeling it yourself, you can't speculate on what you're just seeing. The other thing to keep in mind is with a PCL tear, you can actually kind of be fooled with your Lachman from something called a posterior sag sign. When the PCL is torn in that position, the tibia will sag and drop down below the femur. And so when you do your Lachman, it feels like there's a lot of movement, but it's actually because the PCL is so damaged that you're kind of getting this falsely positive Lachman. Finally in all this, it's reassuring we don't see a brace or any sort of an air cast on his knee. That tells me they weren't as worried about a dislocation or a severe fracture, so that certainly seems like a good sign. So we'll await to see what the exact final diagnosis is, but based on the limited review, again, to me looks like a knee hyperextension with a little bit of a valgus load from that defender falling in from the outside. Definitely got to be worried about multi-ligament knee injuries, MCL, the ACL, possibly PCL, and then everything else like the menisci, the posterolateral corner. Really a wide differential here that could have happened with Burrow. None of them really being that good. So that's it for the video, everybody. Thank you as always for watching. Let me know any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.